Hello, friends. I hope you're having a great day, and I'm looking extremely forward to chatting today. Today, we are going to be covering Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort. It is located at Disney World in Florida. It is a moderate resort, which means that it's not a super fancy resort, not like the Grand Floridian or Beach Club or any of those resorts. And it is not a value resort. So it is not a pop century or an art of animation. It falls right in between. What's so great about the Caribbean Beach Resort is the uh, central location. It is considered an Epcot resort, which means that it's right in between Epcot and Hollywood Studios, and it's also the central hub to the Skyliner. The Skyliner is Disney's new gondola system. It's a transportation system. Because of the enormous size of this resort, it gives you another option. So you'll have regular Disney busing and you'll have the Skyliner gondolas. So you'll have two modes of transportation at a more reasonable price than a deluxe resort. Deluxe resorts, I believe every single one of them. No, not every one. Animal Kingdom doesn't. Most of the deluxe resorts have at least two modes of transportation, usually a boat and the bus, or in the case of like the Epcot resorts, it'll be the Skyliner, a boat, and a bus, something of that nature. So Caribbean Beach is a great value for transportation and it's centrally located. Most people don't like it because of its size. Now, our video today is about mobility access and access for people with special needs. When it's going to be mostly focusing on mobility. This November, my family and I stayed at the Caribbean Beach Resort, and we have two people in my family that have a genetic disorder that at times can flare up, and is called hypochlamydia periodic paralysis. If you look it up, it'll just a brief synopsis is that what can happen is if you have an episode, you can become periodically paralyzed. So one day you might be able to walk 10 miles at Epcot, and then if you have an episode get triggered somewhere, you may need to use a wheelchair the next day, or vice versa. So when we travel, sometimes things can be a little tricky. For the most part, we don't run into problems because we're very proactive. We make sure we don't skip meals. If we don't feel good, we just go back to the resort. But there are times where we've had to make accommodations. And I am just going to fill you in on how Caribbean Beach Resort was with accommodations. And I will say that I was very, very impressed and pleased with the staff, with the transportation aspect was wonderful. So, if you are a person that has special needs when it comes to mobility, whether that is someone that is using a cane, a walker, a electric wheelchair or scooter, or a just standard push wheelchair, Caribbean Beach, although it is a huge resort, does offer a lot of options for you. Because of its size, there are some things that you will want to know because I would normally lean towards telling you to go to a smaller resort because you wouldn't have to walk as far, or you wouldn't have to push a wheelchair as far, or use as much battery power. In this case, I would say that there are a few things that you need to be aware of. The first is there are a lot of different room types at this resort because of its size. If you want to be centrally located, so you want to be near where the food is, where the pool is, where the shopping is, a preferred room will get you in that general area. So when you select a room type, you would want a preferred room. That is going to put you near what's called Old Port Royale. And those rooms are a little more expensive, but they get you right next to everything. Now, if you have mobility issues, you do not need a room that is preferred. It's not a need. It may be very helpful though, especially if you want to be close to food, because if you were to choose a room like a pirate room, those are your furthest away. They're the furthest away from transportation. They're the furthest away from your food. They, I would not recommend them to anyone that has mobility issues, simply because of how far away they are from everything. So that is just a heads up. Obviously, if you are a diehard pirate fan, then see if you could get yourself a handicapped accessible one, and that may work for you, knowing that they are the farthest away from your transportation, your food, your dining, your shopping, definitely furthest away. That being said, also something to, and this is possibly the most important outside of understanding the size of Caribbean Beach, is that there are no elevators in the Caribbean Beach Resort. None. You need to know that. I'm going to say it one more time. There are no elevators at the Caribbean Beach Resort. What that means is each resort is named after a island in the Caribbean. They are two-story buildings, so a ground floor and an upper floor. You're going to want to, when you do check-in, remote like online check-in, go in and request a ground floor. After I did that online, I then called about a month before our actual reservation and explained to the person, I called Disney and explained to them that we had needs, mobility issue needs, to ensure that we would get a ground floor room, because there is no way that you would want a second floor room if you have someone in your party that could potentially or does potentially have problems with going up and down stairs or movement. So that is something to know and to take into account right away. Caribbean Beach is not the only resort on property that doesn't have elevators, so that is something that you will want to look into, just to be knowledgeable. I can tell you that all of the deluxe resorts, all the fancy resorts, do have elevators. So if you're looking at fancy resorts, you don't need to worry about that. But I would also recommend in most cases, not all, that you want a ground floor room. The boardwalk, you would not, but we can talk about that at another time. So you would, my advice would to be request a ground level room. And then as far as area, because Caribbean Beach is so large, there are a couple areas that are more ideal for people that may have issues with walking long distances, again, pushing a wheelchair, things of that nature. If you want to be near the Skyliner or transportation, because the resort is so big, there is an inner bus loop. Each individual island, we're going to call them islands, has its own bus stop. That's good to know. It's also good to know that the bus loop does not always have a set starting point. At different points of the year, they kind of rotate which location is the first stop. When we were there, Aruba was the last stop at the bus. So if the bus got full before it got to Aruba, we'd have to wait for a second bus or a third bus. We never ran into that problem, but I have heard other people have. Most of the time we use the Skyliner. The Skyliner in Aruba that you would use would be actually the Riviera Resort, because it's closer to the Riviera than it is to the main Skyliner building. However, if you want to request a ground floor level room that is closest to the Skyliner, you have two options. So you can go with Aruba, which you would then use the Riviera Resort Skyliner, which is like right next to you. Or you can just request close to the Skyliner. There is a main Skyliner hub at the Caribbean Beach Resort that can take you to either Epcot or to Hollywood Studios. Either way, that is a great option and something to think about. So when you're reserving your room, my advice is to request a room near the Skyliner or near Riviera. Now that is going to get you further away from food than a preferred room. So you really do have to kind of weigh what is best for you and your family. But I will say that for my family and for our trip, where we were in Aruba on a ground floor was perfect. And I would definitely do it again. Our family is used to staying at, saving up money We've been blessed to go. This was our third time going to Disney, and we've been very, very blessed. But I will say that we save up for years to go on these trips. So this was our first time staying in a moderate resort, and we loved it. It was perfect for us. I don't know if we will go back to a deluxe resort because we had such a good experience at Caribbean Beach and because of its options for transportation. So that being said, I would say that if you are a family that has someone that has special needs that needs a special bathroom, you need to request an actual handicap bathroom. The bathroom that comes in a standard room has a tub that you have to step up into. We didn't have problems with that, but someone that cannot actually step up and go into the tub would have problems with it. It also didn't like no roll in shower, no roll in bathroom. So know that the actual standard room bathrooms are not conducive to someone that has mobility issues. However, if it's someone that can just needs a wheelchair to get around the parks, that walking that much in a day is too much for them, a standard room may work. And if you have an electric wheelchair, the rooms are on the they were fine for 4 people to be in. I don't think an electric wheelchair would be conducive to being in the room, and you would want to park it outside of the room. I know in the deluxe hotels, a lot of times people park them in the hallway. It would be the same deal with this, except there is no hallway. All right. It's you have your room, and then as soon as you open the door of your room, you're outside. So know that that would be the type of situation. And again, we didn't have a problem with it, but I can understand how some other people may have a problem with it. If you would like a video that shows the layout, and I can show you where specifically the handicapped accessible rooms are, or show you the map of the hotel and the preferred rooms, I can do that for you in another video. Just leave a comment below. Otherwise, have a wonderful time planning, and I look forward to talking to you later. Bye!